Hi, and welcome to the second video. In the previous video, we discussed complexity and the importance of embracing complexity in order to explore opportunities. In this video, we will zoom in on how to do so. So, since complexity in itself can be very overwhelming, discussing it from a theoretical perspective might not give you the tips and tricks of how to deal with it. So, I will use one of our projects as an example on how you can get a grip on complexity. You can find a video explaining the project itself on the platform of the course. Please check it out to see the result. So let's go back to the world of flying. One of the most vulnerable groups of passengers is kids, and more specifically, kids flying without a parent or another adult. In the aviation industry, these kids are referred to as unaccompanied minors. Parents pay the airline a fee in order for the kids to be able to travel alone. And the airline makes sure there is a staff member with them at all times. But why would kids travel alone? Think of families living abroad, parents being divorced, etc. On a peak day at Schiphol Airport, there can be up to 400 kids traveling alone. In comparison to the number of regular passengers flying, this is a very small group of passengers. And that is also why airlines have invested very little in making this a great experience. While at the same time, when something goes wrong with children, it quickly reaches dramatic outcomes. And kids are getting lost, parents not knowing where they are for days. So the social implications of not delivering the promised service are immense. So this is a picture of how airlines present to parents how their kids will fly with them. It's to comfort the parents, to convince them the kids are safe, in safe hands. But this is reality. And especially on busy holiday periods, staff is walking around with 4 kids at the same time, while 2 kids is a standard. Can you imagine walking through a terminal with 4 bouncy kids? A friend of mine had her 5-year-old traveling to her parents who live in Brazil, and the flight had a stopover in Lisbon. But she didn't know where her son was for 24 hours. She was devastated. She only finally heard from her mother that he had safely arrived after some time. So, in a context like this, how do you explore opportunities to improve what you can do? So, where do you start? Well, try to zoom out and think of different ways of looking at the situation. Think of, for example, the competitors, technology that can help a hand, what are things going on in the company itself that can contribute, or maybe need to be taken into account, and are there comparable situations in other industries that can bring in ideas? So the first way we looked at the situation is through the lens of technology. What are developments we could make use of? In the context of airports and airlines, we saw that many airports are installing beacons to be able to offer location-based services. It allows tracking of passengers and has multiple uses. But most companies are still struggling to find the real value of knowing where your passenger is, beyond the obvious of making sure they catch their plane in time. Other developments are data. Having access to more kinds of data, especially in real-time application of addressing the passenger with the right information at the right time. Or one is that starting to be applied is recognizing somebody's mood through observation and being able to respond accordingly. Looking at developments in the market is another one. So what are your competitors doing? What are other comparable industries doing? So, for example, how are theme parks dealing with kids when they get lost? And are there other ways of looking at it? At the end of our project, Air New Zealand launched a new service for the unaccompanied minors. They were the only airline next to KLM to have made a real effort to change their service. They chose to make use of a track and trace wristband, and this was also part of the solution that we had planned. So this gave us really the confidence that we were on the right track. But we also realized we had an advantage. Our solution was part of a system that addressed more than just tracing the kids. Another aspect not to neglect was to include staff, and we needed to involve different types of staff: ground staff, team managers, in-flight crew, booking agents, etc. And we realized that they experienced the largest struggle in really making time for the kids. So for example, they have no real-time access to data, so they're always working with outdated information. And the issue of accountability. Every step of the journey, another staff member was mentoring the children. And each time there was a handover between the steps. For example, between the transfer of walking through the terminal and boarding, and then the actual in-flight. Staff had to sign papers to hand over the accountability for the child. This was a crucial process, but also a very time-consuming one, because every airline and outstation uses different set of papers. We also took into account developments concerning the customers, so the children, the parents, and their context. Almost all kids traveling alone have a smartphone, and they are becoming experienced independent travelers. And everything for them must be fun, so it should be a fun and engaging experience. Within the company, there were multiple initiatives we could tap into: digitizing the operational processes, providing all staff members an iPad, placing beacons throughout the airport, having in-flight Wi-Fi, developing one generic app for employees, etc. Trouble with all of this is that it's easy to recognize this as an opportunity or needed, but translating it into a good solution proves to be hard. Marga managed to do so. By looking at the context of kids traveling alone from different perspectives, she was able to create one integrated solution that addressed the multiple challenges. So the kids have an app that is fun and engaging and allows them to become an experienced traveler, as well as enabling communication with their parents. Parents have an app that gives them automatic updates of the status of their child, and the operations for employees have been digitized and simplified, enabling them to spend their time with the kids instead of on procedures. So, exploring opportunities starts with getting a grip on the complexity of your context and looking at it from different perspectives, such as technology, market, trends, and internal developments. Next up is a quiz with some questions, which helps you to reflect on this video. And then afterwards, in the next video, we will zoom in on one technique to get a grip on the various stakeholders you are dealing with. See you next time!